76 Streets.
My name is Dr. Dwayne Wright. My father is a car fanatic himself, so it was only natural for me to, to follow in his footsteps. So here we are. Good afternoon. I want to thank 876 Streets for, giving me an interview. It's been a long time coming. I used to wonder why is everybody getting interviews and nobody contacts me, but finally, out of the blues, somebody contacted and said they wanted to speak with me. So it's my pleasure. A medical doctor by profession, gynecologist in particular.
Oh my God! Wow!
But I also have a love of fast cars, and more recently, the racing scene has kind of appealed to me, So here I am, a couple years and into it. So the car you see behind me here is a 1993 Toyota Supra Turbo, but I have a couple of them that I dabble, on the streets and on the track with, in particular for racing. I've recently started to race the Toyota Supra, and I also have a 1998 turbocharged Honda Civic SIR hatchback with a K20 turbo. I also have a 2015 BMW F82 M4, which I find quite pleasurable to drive, and I recently took it on the track and it has been so far impressive, so let's see where it goes in the future. My passion for cars, it started many years ago from when I was in high school. I can recall being in fourth form up at Monroe, and my dad drove in with a brand new Mitsubishi Evolution 4, and I'm not sure if it was the first one in Jamaica at the time, if not so then close to it, and it was brand spanking new. And I remember him driving in and all the guys around there were like, crawling around the car, and at the time I didn't really know anything about cars. I just thought it was a nice car, but it was from that one to multiple cars later that the passion grew, and his circle of friends were always car guys. So little by little, I started to come into my own. I got my first car when my dad bought me a 1997 Honda Civic hatchback with a B16 all-motor setup, and it was first built by Mr. Xavier Murray in Mandeville, rev to 9,200 RPM. I think I was maybe 18 years old at the time, and the car was pretty awesome. We got it sprayed and it was sounding real nice, felt good. And naturally, being 18 years old, I think I crashed it within 2 days.
That's serious?
And I was hoping that my dad would have fixed it and given it back to me fairly quickly, but fast forward 4 years after that, he took out the beast of a motor and put in a D15 automatic.
Got him! Got him!
Gave me and told me to do road, so I guess I just had to chill until I could afford to buy myself my own fast car. So that's exactly what I did. So this 1993 Toyota Supra Turbo is sort of a family heirloom. The car was brought into Jamaica by my father, Dr. Carl Wright, and I guess he's the first one that I have to give big ups and props to, because without him, there wouldn't have been any of this passion for cars. So he had a vision that he wanted. He wanted a manual transmission turbocharged Supra. I remember, while being much younger, he used to show me videos of Supras drifting on YouTube, and I didn't fully appreciate it at the time, but looking back now I can see, you know, what a beast of a car it really was. So the vision was really his. So he did the project himself, got the turbocharged motor, the manual transmission, 6-speed V160 box installed. Pretty much did a lot of what you see here, you know. Pretty much on receipt of the full package, but I've made my little additions to it. But I'll have to give like a majority of the props to him in terms of visualizing what he wanted and putting it all together, you know. Of course, along the way, one man alone really can't do everything. So I also have to give big props to Lizard, aka Audi Cowan, you know, from Lizard Autoworks in Spur 3. I always call him the machine surgeon general. And tuned by Lance Holong, who is a tuner. Personally, I think this guy is a genius when it comes to tuning cars. You know, this guy works magic every time when he touches the cars. And Deke, who works up by Lizard, he does a lot of fabrication. I'm telling you, this guy is very awesome. Anything you want him done for you, this guy could be, you know, selling stuff on the internet. He's that good, you know. But I also have to give props to my team down here, Spatek Racing and Lickles, Ross, Georgie, everybody still, you know. But back to the car. My dad is not really much of a racer, you know. He's more of a street man. But the thing about the Supra is, in order to build so much power out of it, you know, you're not really going to use a small turbo. So the big turbo builds power, but it also carries a certain amount of lag to it. So it's not as fun to drive on the streets. So I really think my father, he wasn't so happy with it as a street car, you know. So I found that the car was just there sitting idly for many years, you know. So one day I approached him and I said, Pops, I'm thinking of building, I need an ultimate machine. And I see one right there, so in the garage. So let me do a little bit of talking and let's see what can happen. And 5 minutes later he said, yeah man, I do that. So, you know, so I won't go into the background of everything as to, you know, what took place, but let's just fast forward maybe a year or so later. I acquired this car in about 2017, and at first I shared his views with them about a little bit of lagginess because of the turbo, and so I really didn't know what to do with the car. You know, should I have it as a racing machine, a drag machine, or should I have it as just a pretty girl on the streets just to show off, you know? My friends were always saying, you know, take it to the track and let's just see what it could do. I'll be honest, I was a little bit, I don't know if I want to use the term afraid, but when it comes to Supra, everybody expects, you know, great things. Everybody expects that every Supra has 1,000 horsepower and it's going to run, you know, 8 seconds, but I've never raced this car before. I don't know if when I go out on the track, if it's going to turn me into a wall in front of 1,000 people and I'm going to become an overnight internet meme, you understand? So I took my time getting to know the car, getting to drive it, you know, getting to see how it behaves. You know, you might see a few of my videos on Instagram. That's just me just messing around and feeling out the car, you know, but nothing to the extreme, always safe, you know. I try my best not to do any form of dangerous things on the road. I don't road race. And then we come back to the track now. The road is pretty much very dangerous for driving fast, you know. So I figured, well, if I'm going to do any form of fast driving to get this beast out of my spirit, might as well take it to the track, you know. It's expensive, yes, but I guess the ultimate price you pay for road racing is your life. All right, so I was always putting it off. I acquired some slicks about a year ago, but I just didn't put them on the car until the last Drag Rivals 4. I decided, you know, a spirit just spoke to me one morning and said, listen, we're gonna do something this meet. So I went down there. I might add that my Honda Civic K20 turbocharger, I've been trying to run 10 seconds for the longest while. I mean, I've gone as close as was 11.1 seconds, but just never crossing that 10-second mark. In part because I've always had some amount of reliability issues, flying rod, this and that, but I had never broken the 10-second mark. So I put on the 6 on the Supra, and my very first completed pass on the Supra was literally a 10-second pass. So I was very elated to have crossed that 10-second mark, and not only that, when I crossed the finish line and I was able to drive back around to the paddocks and the car was still in one order and the engine was still in place and the gearbox was still in place and not in parts, I was very impressed. And not only that, it did multiple, every pass was a 10-second pass, and every pass I got better and better and better. It was almost effortless as compared to when I was driving a Honda Civic. I had never felt, that way in a race car before as how I felt in the Supra. The Civic was aggressive, but the Supra was just a beast. When the car launched and it just threw me, out of the starting blocks, it felt like a slingshot, literally. So I was like, yeah man, this is a car for me. This is a car I want to focus on, The car was imported from Japan, as a automatic Supra version. But I remember my dad driving it to work a couple of times, and that the passion didn't really last very long for that. He's not a fan of automatic cars, so I think within 2 or 3 months that motor was out. The auto tranny was taken out, and we sourced a V160 stock box. I would be what you term a baby when it comes to racing. I was never a racer, but of course, being in Savlamar, where there's a racetrack like literally 30 minutes from me, and everybody down here is at some point in time is going to the track, eventually peer pressure will get to you. So the first time I decided to race was actually in 2016. I had a 2004 Subaru RRX STI, building about 420 horsepower. I decided to take it down to Vernam Field, and I had no idea what I was doing. As a matter of fact, the night before I went to Kingston, I stopped on the highway and practiced how to launch the car. I read about it on, on the internet. I went and launched the car on the highway, and I was like, okay, this feels good. So the very next day we went down to Vernam Field, and my very first drag race run, I did 12.2 seconds. 12.2 seconds, yes, very first run. And I thought that was impressive for a first run. Did a couple of runs, actually got better every time, and first eliminations now at the same meet, I shut off left this guy. I don't remember what kind of car it was, but a turbocharged Starlet or something like that, and left him out of the hole and was just going through good, and maybe it was inexperienced, but I couldn't see him in my rear view mirror. That could have meant that he was either too far or actually too close. I couldn't see him. Went on my brakes, and of course, right as the finish line approaches, the guy just shuts past me at like 12.5 seconds. I'm like, seriously? So my day ended right there. I'll never do that again still, but it was a learning experience for me still, So that was the very first time for me. The first thing I would say is I'd have to give, original props to my dad, Dr. Carl Wright, for, envisioning, the kind of project that he wanted, and doing the necessary research, to put the whole thing together so it would, be up to his liking, his specs. Of course, nothing is done by one man alone. So a very big part of getting the project up and running, I think you'd have to give thanks to Lizard, aka Audi Cowan, pretty much. Before he had linked up with Audi, there were a couple other mechanics that he had worked with, but he was always having issues here and there with the car, just not being reliable, breaking down. But Lizard was very good at giving us a great build. I mean, this engine was built, believe it or not, over 5 years ago. Building 1,000 horsepower, 1,000 horsepower over 5 years ago. And it has been busting shots on a regular basis from the time my dad has had it until now. It's been a very reliable build, you know. So I find Lizard to be very good at, you know, quality assurance. I've worked with many mechanics. I find him to be very good at, you know, quality assurance, ensuring that, you know, what is to be done is done, and there are no loose knickknacks, loose screws and bolts and all those things, you know. Giving you the right specs as to what you want. With regards to the tuner, Lance Ho Long, tuned by Lance on Instagram. Awesome tuner. I find him to be very knowledgeable, especially he tunes anything, almost any car, but you know, his specialty, he likes using the AM, but I think he has a subspecialty in Supra, and this guy is like worldwide famous. Travels from country to country just to tune the Supra. He's that good, you know, so every time he touches the car gets better, you know, so big up to Lance. And also big up to Deeks, who does a lot of the fabrications for Lizard. Awesome, the guy's work is clean and good, and I'd recommend him to anybody. Separate and aside from that, you know, since I migrated from Mandeville down here to Sablamar, you know, I'm no longer in close proximity with Lizard, so my current team is Patek Racing, and they've been instrumental, especially, you know, in ensuring everything goes right for the race meets, everything that I need, everything goes on point, giving me the support that I need. So I have to big up Patek Racing, I have to big up Lickles, in particular, Rasta, Ras, Georgie, Collis, all of the man them down as Patek. Big up, enough respect, you know? Yeah. Okay, so there are so many modifications to this car. You might, you know, have to forgive me if I use my phone to, you know, just list off a couple of things, because it's a lot to remember, you know? Not as young as I used to be. But so far, what to tell you, it's an 2JZ engine, inline 6 motor, fully built head to foot, has stock main caps. With regards to turbo, it uses a Precision 82-85mm turbo. Fuel system, ID 2000 injectors, 3 Walbro 450 fuel pumps, currently tuned on E85, CP pistons, Carrillo rods, ACL bearings. Transmission uses a stock 6-speed V160 transmission. Stock axles pretty much. With regard to the head, it uses a 1+ Ferrier valves, and we had to use shimless buckets. 6-inch intercooler, downpipe ×2, full race, exhaust manifold. Electronics, the car uses a AEM Series 2, you know, which has been pretty reliable thus far in terms of building power. Power-wise, I think I'll say this, that the car builds, last time we tuned on the DYNO, the car built 1,200 horsepower, and that was on full E85, you know. On pump gas, I've seen the car build like 880 horsepower on E1090. It's pretty impressive. I'll tell you about that guy, Lance Ho Long. Awesome. But we had to turn it down a bit, you know, for safety wise. So maybe 700 on pump gas, somewhere around there. But as I said, overall a very reliable car, reliable build, you know. I've enjoyed driving it so far. So, don't quote me here, but I do believe when we did the 1200 horsepower, it would have been on either 35 or 40 psi boost. I cannot recall really. I mean, in my excitement, I really forgot to ask how much it was. And when I'm driving the car, I really don't have the time to look on the boost gauge to see how much boost is running. I just want to know the car moving straight and going fast and is not hitting the wall. And I'm good. My only race meet with the Supra was at the last race meet, which was Drag Rivals 4, which was last month. My very first run, the car did at 10.7 seconds, you know, at about, I believe it was 135 miles an hour, you know, and that was just first, second and third gear, as in I didn't have the time to touch the fourth gear any at all, you know. The best time for the car, best time was 10.2 seconds, I believe, at around 140 miles per hour. We realized that we were having a little bit of issues with the car in terms of, and that was not on full, you know, full alcohol. That was with a majority of pump gas with a little bit of alcohol in it as well. But when we tried turning up the boost, what we found is that we were having serious traction issues with the car, where the car would just rip through the gears, spin off the tires, but you're not really having the speed to go into the next gear. So the car was pretty much kind of falling flat on the face, dropping out a boost. And then when the boost came in, it was so aggressive that the car started to become, you know, unruly. It started to spin like it wanted to go into the wall. I think I personally asked, you know, Kenneth Timmel, Kenty, big up yourself, to ensure that, you know, we have like full track bite for the whole track, because I've said to him that, listen, come the Drag Rivals 5, you gotta have some real big juices out there, and we want the car to hook and pull and move. We don't want spinning, and you understand? But so far I think the support from Kenty has been awesome, you know, and it's only going to get better from here. Alright, I'll be honest with you. I just started racing, so in my initial spell with racing, I've had a few reliability issues, in particular with my Honda Civic. So I never really made it. I've had stints where the first or second run fly a rod or my gearbox made problems. So I've never really had a situation where I get to run the car fully and a man really bust my ass, pretty much to say. So I don't really have rivals like that per se. However, I really think the biggest rival that I have is myself, in terms of going out there, remembering everything that I have to do, focusing, being attentive, executing, timing the launches properly. It's a lot. I thought drag racing was easy, honestly, before I started. But then having been out there, I realized that there's a lot that comes to it. A lot of preparation, a lot in terms of execution, and getting the car to do what you want it to do. Having a lot of power does not necessarily guarantee that you're going to get a good time. As a matter of fact, you could have 2,000 horsepower and end up into the wall, or end up having never even finished the race, or even more power sometimes put you back ways because you just don't have the grip on the traction, the track support to handle it. So I'm at the point now where, you know, after having felt out the Supra, I have a few things that I'd like to get adjusted for it, to, you know, ensure that we get a much better time at the next meet. I want to run less boost to give me a better time, safely, put it that way. I personally like having more than one car is ready for a race meet. I really hate going to a race meet and you do the first run and something happens to your car and you can't run. I mean, months and months of preparation, and then you have to sit down and just watch everybody run. So that's not me. I like having at least two cars ready for the meet, and if something happens to one, I just jump in the other one, I'm gone again. All right? I'd be really bad looking for, you know, both cars be popped down at me, but never say never. But knock on wood. All right, so in terms of getting the cars ready, it's a lot of preparation. It's a lot of running up and down. You know, liaisoning with the tuner, stripping down the car, getting my tires right, getting the car tuned properly, buying alcohol, you know, getting gas for the car, making arrangements with your team. I work about 3 jobs, so making arrangements with work. I have to get people to see my patients. It's really not easy, but you know, when you have a passion for something, you kind of go out of your way to make it happen still. You know, so it's a lot. When you see drag racers go out there, or racers, when I go to a race meet and I see all these racers coming in and running the cars and doing what they do, even if they go out there and they pop down on the first race, I empathize with them, I understand what they're going through. You know, so you'll never hear me criticize another man's car or another man's run, because you never know what he's going through and the expense that the time and effort that he has gone into to getting his car right there. So I appreciate everybody as we see them, you know. You'd probably think that my first 10-second run would have been my most memorable moment, but that actually was not it. I'll take you back to 2015 when I had my 2004 WRX STI. I was never into drag racing. I was always a roadman, you know. But I had come to realize that drag racing and driving on the road are two completely different things. So I was new to Sablamar, took my Subi down to Jam West and doing a couple laps. There was this guy down there, they call him Ranger, Muslim. I'm a Bridget, you know. He used to terrorize Jam West. All the guys on there are afraid of him. And him just want to see you look like you're fast, and him want to race you, to beat you, for put you in your place. He would even give you 1 or 2 car lengths to start ahead of him, just to beat you, to kind of embarrass you, you know. So he saw me down there and he didn't really know what potential the Subaru had. Of course, he didn't know me either, so he decided to say, want to race me, you know. I was hesitant at first, but I said, all right, fine, let me take on the challenge. Of course, not knowing anything about drag racing, you know, the starter says go, and I'm there, not even knowing that I had to launch a Subaru. So I'm there pretty much rolling off of the line like a front wheel drive car. Naturally the car stalls on me, and the guy like literally bust my ass like 2 times in a row. So I'm there making all sort of excuses, and you know, that is how my relationship with Lickles, Sean Smith started. So he was like, yo, come here, let me show you something. Let me the car, you know. So I take the car and line up a race with Ranger. And when that Subaru just shot out of the hole and just left Ranger upon his face, I think I was halfway down the track running with my shirt like people couldn't believe it was me, you know. I didn't know the car had a potential. So that my love for Subarus, you know, heightened at that moment. I don't think I've ever seen anything launch like a Subaru, with the exception of my Supra right here, which is pulling a 1.2 60 foot. I might add, don't think any other car down there was pulling anything like that. But we're not talking about the Supra right now still, yeah. So that's it for me. I really believe that this car was over-engineered back from 1993. Everything about it. I mean, even look at the gearbox. For a stock gearbox to manage 1200 horsepower, and you're beating on it daily and nothing happens to it. Oh, come on, it's like they're futuristic in terms of the thinking. It's like they knew that we'd be messing with the car, so they figured that they'd make everything as beefy as possible. But the car has really been impressive to me. I mean, I love everything about it. For such an old car, just the look. I mean, I think this car could come out tomorrow and still be a hit. It's classy. It has that nostalgic look, that nostalgic feeling to it. It's low, it's wide, it has a nice center of gravity. It's very well balanced. I'm surprised even going through corners. I've been down by Jam West. The track is wet. I'm going full blast around the track with a wet track. And not once has the car spun out on me, even when the track is wet. And I'll just put that into perspective. I've gone with other cars down there, and 2-3 laps, the car is spinning 360 with me down there. Never in the Supra, never. I love the engine. I think the engine is really soft. I think that's the most important point for me, the engine and the reliability. I like knowing that I can beat on it and it just handles whatever it is that you have to throw at it. You know, it's a classic, I love it. Well, put it this way, I had always wanted to run 10 seconds. For me, I think that was my ultimate goal. But you know, having been to a couple of race meets now, I realize that my goals have really shifted. Rather than I'm not so much time fixated. I'm more fixated on topping a class and winning a class. I think the most competitive class that I've noticed is the 10-second class. I think the 10-second and the 11-second classes, they give you the best bang for buck. They have a good amount of racers, and the cars are still fast, and it's exciting. You know, you have cars, you know, within very close distances of each other. The 9 and the 8-second classes, those cars are fast, but they're just not that many cars in that class. You probably do 1 or 2 runs and then you reach a final. So it's not that exciting for me. And even though I know this car can run a 9-second, possibly an 8 seconds, I'm not really focused on that, because the faster you go is the more traction issues that you have, the more likely to break something, and it's just not as competitive a class, you know, in Jamaica, because there are not many cars in that class. So I think right now I'll be more fixated on trying to win the 10-second class, or possibly the 11-second class as well. So I want one car to dominate the 10s, and I want one car to dominate the 11s. I think that's where my goals stand right now. I think a better question is, which one have I not been frustrated with? They've all given me trouble at some point in time. I'll even take this. Cars running perfectly. One day I decided to take a drive to Negril, and the car starts missing, just missing, you know. The injectors just block up. Have to get a whole another set of injectors and retune and everything. Civic, 1 minute is there, months of preparation, go on the track, first run, fling out a rod, you know. I would say the car that hasn't really given me any trouble so far, it would be the M4, and that's just a machine from factory. I love it. I mean, and I think that car, I would say, is currently the fastest, you know, M4 in Jamaica on a drag strip, running 11.5 seconds with a 2.1 60 foot, which I thought was pretty impressive, you know, just spinning off the line and still running that time. I think with slicks alone, that car could probably be like a high 10s or something like that, you know. So effortless driving, but still comfortable to drive on the road and have fun, very quick, very responsive. I love that car. So it has been for me the most reliable in terms of car. Of course, not as much power as the Civic and the Supra, but overall an excellent and awesome package. Over the last couple of years, I mean, these are questions that go through my mind daily. So but every time I find myself getting close to the point, you know, it's almost like I have some amount of attachment to them. It's like having, I don't know, like a child, having gone through the ups and the downs and the heartaches, and the build. I think it's the build that kind of gets you attached. So tomorrow you have a problem, you say you want to sell, and then the next day you have a good meet, and you're making all the plans in the world for them, you know. So of course money always talks first. So of course, you know, if the price is right and somebody makes you an offer that you can't refuse, then, you know, who am I? I think Drag Rivals 5 is going to be very, very, very competitive. You know, I think with the Drag Rivals 4, it was very exciting. I mean, sad to say that it was, you know, some rain came down in the afternoon, but the anticipation was building for some head-to-head clashes, you know. I mean, I think I was at the semi-finals in the 10-second class, if I'm not too sure. I think it was semi-finals, but I was anticipating going to the finals with Glenn in his Nissan GTR. And I've been in love with that GTR. It's pretty awesome, you know, just the sound of it and the way it accelerates and goes through the gears. So big up to Glenn, you know. So I was trying to figure out how I would compete, you know, with Glenn in that class. No, I know my car has more power, but the problems we were facing, you know, with traction issues and dropping out a boost, GTR doesn't necessarily have as much of that problem as, you know, I would. So we're still facing some difficulties. So I was trying to visualize, you know, how we would overcome that to top, you know, Glenn and win that class. But he was saved by the rain. Let me put it that way. I drag Rebels 5 now. I'm focused. I'm focused on taking the 10 second class. I mean, it may happen, it may never happen, but even if it doesn't happen, I want to know that we went out and we did our best. You know, we tried to maximize whatever we had to get the best possible time. It's not always about power, it's about getting the best package together that gets you down the quarter mile in the shortest possible time. So I'll be working with my team and my crew to see how we can make that happen. Well, I probably said this a couple of times during the interview. Big up, you know, Father God. Nothing is possible without him. Big up Father, Dr. Carl Wright. Big up Builder, you know, Lizard, Ardy Cowan, Tuner, Lance Holong, Fabricator Deeks. Big up Spartek Racing, Lickles, Rasta, Georgie, every man down there from Spartek Racing. Big up Shine, electrician from, you know, down at Sav. Big up Motec Racing. Before I came to Sav, I used to hang up by Motec Racing. They were located right across from Manibur Hospital, so every day on my lunch break I used to go over there and just hang out with these guys and chill. I didn't have any machine at the time, but, you know, part of my inspiration kind of grew from them still. Big up Jason and, you know, big up Corey, big up Braggy, my brother from another mother.
Braggy, come in. Where you going gas, brother?
Yo, I read this one.
Oh, forget to stop using 85. Sorry, boss. You are the boss.
You know, we went to Monroe together, but he is into the racing thing. He normally link up with Delan or Corey, but I think he's planning to start doing some driving himself. I wouldn't mind seeing that, to see, you know, how he does down there. Driving for yourself is a completely different experience. I remember when we just got the Civic built, you know, Lizard did the first meet down by Vernon Field and the car did 10.4, so I was always like, you know, that's the time I want to beat, you know. So Lizard kind of set a bench standard for me. Moving forward, that's what I wanted to beat still, you know, so I always try to match that or even surpass that. But in the end, you really just have to find a level that you're comfortable with, you know, or else you'll forever be chasing times. I don't really want to be that person. I just want to go out there, have fun, and come home with some trophies. Yeah, man. I've been beaten a few times by a couple of guys, you know, but I'm kind of new to the racing scene per se, quote unquote. But every time somebody has beaten me, there is always a reason why. So I take it as a stepping stone to get better. So I can recall, you know, 2 people off the top of my head, you know, giving me a whopping. I remember I was racing an Evo, drop a seat at the light. Seymour give me a little beating right there, so. Like 12.05 to 12.07. So if I buck him again one day, you know, I really go so still, you know. And then at the last meet now, in the M4 I was racing, who was it? It was Vaughn. Drop a seat at the light again, so him jump out upon me. He's a very good racer. I like the fact that he was alert and jump out quick, and, you know, he missed a gear, but I guess it just wasn't enough time for me to catch him back up still. So if you've beaten me before, rest assured that I would really like to come back and take my revenge, you know, Doc style. On November 24th, Drag Rivals 5. What I can tell you, it's going to be very exciting. It's going to be bad. The machines are going to be out in full force. The Supra is going to be there, and in our pardon, no bad day. The Civic is going to be there. I'm a one van already, so I have a Civic with a name on it. Understand? So watch out, van. It's going mad. Don't talk.